Oh my goodness. Pretty sure it's not a surprise that Americans have said some incredibly not smart things on the internet.
Do you know what the letter O on the periodic table stands for? Nah. Take a guess. What do you think it stands for?
Octopus.
I am included. If you guys have been watching this channel for a hot minute, part of the reason why this channel grew to the capacity it grew to was because I said some very questionable things in this channel's infancy, and I learned from my mistakes, and we're here. But we're also here to analyze all of the dumb stuff Americans have said on the internet. If you guys have any stories that you would like to fill the comments with, because trust me, I recently have been filling my time with reading you guys' comments in the last few videos. Oh my goodness. I have never laughed harder in my life. Go ahead and populate the comments with a story of your own. And before you get started, if you're new here, make sure you like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. So let's go ahead and dive into our first post, man, which says, "You will bend the knee to us or we will break you. Your choice, EU." What? What is going on? Why the hostility? Anyways, the rest of this post says, EU is strong if it acts in unison on Trump tariffs, and then it's cut off at the Germany, whatever. Underneath that though, the response is a little diabolical. It says, "You will bend the knee to us or we will break you. Your choice, EU." And the comments were not looking too decent, okay? Everybody was fired up, rightfully so, because what are you talking about, bend the knee? We're not rulers of the world, but apparently a lot of US AENs, as you guys be saying, act like it. So let's check out what these comments had to say, man, because I'm not gonna lie, it was wild. Not before you break yourselves first, and cooking, because I'm not gonna lie, it seems like America has been imploding. There has been so much internal conflict. We can't police the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sure why we've been attempting to police the world for however many years we've been trying to do it. We can't even police ourselves properly. We have so many issues, it's diabolical, and therefore this comment is cooking. This next comment though says, "I'd rather shit in my hands and clap before bending a knee to Trump land." Hold on. How do you do that? Shit in your hands and oh my god, that's a wild comment. That's probably one of the wildest comments we've had on here, okay? That's crazy. Anyways, I'm pretty sure you're not the only person who shares the same sentiment. Next comment says, "If our economy goes to shit, we will still have healthcare and social welfare. When your economy goes to shit, you're dead." You're right. You're right. Damn. Harsh reality. It's crazy. I told you guys, I've been living overseas for the last few years, and it has been one of the most eye-opening experiences ever. To the point where I'm like, man, if I could stay over here longer, that would be nice. And I am staying overseas a little bit longer, but I'm not looking forward to coming back to the United States. I'm not gonna lie. But we gotta get into this next post, which says, "Niche dialects like British English." Niche dialect is crazy. All right, so it's a thread, right? Top of the thread says, "Missing key information of where you'd like to use this." Underneath that it says, "Yeah, most native English speakers use American English, but niche dialects like British English are common in certain places." And underneath that it says, "This is an absolutely wild way to refer to the place the language originated from." I ain't gonna lie, bruh, that was low IQ. What do you mean? Most native English speakers use American English? This should be in the US defaultism subreddit, to be honest, because good God, it's dumb and it's defaulting. That's wild. That's a double wombo combo. I'm betting the person who wrote this pronounces it niche. I forgot there's people like that. I always call it niche. I've called it niche since the beginning, but I keep hearing people, at least I've only heard people in the States call it niche. "Oh yeah, that's my favorite niche, man. When you choose your niche." And I'm like, what the fuck? Who taught you how to pronounce that word, bro? Oh my God. Niche? Not nicht. Nicht means not. Auf Deutsch. Anyways, the next comment says, "So niche, it's only spoken by around 60 million people." Yeah, it's crazy because in Europe, if you hear most people speak English, it's derivative of the British English that's taught over there. 60 million people, that's not niche, man. Now, I know for the people that are out there like, well, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Oh my gosh. How does that copium taste? Not to mention that British English is the much more common one for ESL learners in Europe, Africa, and much of Asia. My son is learning British English in school, the Netherlands, which causes him some annoyance given that he's grown up speaking US English at home with me. I will say it is funny seeing the two types of English dialects collide and whatnot, especially when it comes to terminology. One of them being cookies, because cookies are biscuits in the UK, but in the United States, cookies are straight up just sugary, delicious, delectable things, you know? Something I might have after this video. If you haven't already, make sure you let me know what the dumbest thing one of us has said to you. It can be something I've said, because I've said some dumb stuff very recently. Okay, so this next post, oh my gosh, says the US could survive on its own. I read that and I'm like, oh, there's so many different diverse aspects to the United States. I don't think that it would survive on its own. And we're very heavily reliant on outsourcing. So that would be wrong. But there's more to this post. As it says, the US could survive on its own. A lot of people are going to lose, suffer, and die, but it could survive on its own. And of course, the comments had a lot to say, so let's go ahead and read one of the comments, shall we? If y'all have seen Shrek, you're very familiar with this meme. It says, literally this meme, some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Cooking, man, that comment cooked. All right, the next comment, man. And how's that going so far? Yeah, oh my gosh, not good. The US has been fighting for its life this whole year. It's like we have almost successfully completed the isolation speed run, where we separate ourselves from the rest of the world, tarnish a bunch of cherished relationships with our international partners, and claiming that we can be self-sufficient and do everything on our own. But very, very, very soon, I'm pretty sure everybody will realize, if they haven't already, that that cannot happen. I mean, it's not been successful. Hence the renegotiations that have happened recently. But yeah, the world's looking at us pretty crazy. It's unfortunate. I wonder how that's gonna affect the perception of people traveling from the United States to foreign countries to visit and whatnot, or just live, because there are a lot of people from the United States leaving at this point. They're either relinquishing their citizenships or they're straight up leaving and obtaining dual citizenship so they don't have to live in the States for quite a while. Yeah, it's crazy. Where do they think all their electrical goods come from? And all the components, chips, and motors they're made with at low cost. Delusional. I had no idea how many pieces of technology and all of the little intricate aspects of our computers, electrical systems, whatever, came from overseas in the perspective of America, right? I didn't realize that. I didn't realize how many countries contributed to that until this whole tariff thing. And I'm like, oh my goodness. The cost of everything is about to skyrocket through the roof, okay? Crazy. But not as crazy as this next post, which says, everyone wants to come to America. Ooh, I know that's not the case. Especially now, with the amount of people being detained and feeling like they are unsafe just traveling to the United States and not even making it past customs. I don't think that rings to be true, especially recently. But there's more to this post, as it says, I don't care whether you're a poor bastard from the third world or a Nobel Prize winner, everyone wants to come to America because it's the land of opportunity, freedom, justice, and kindness. What? Oh my God, I'm not saying everywhere is bad, but come on, man, step out of your delusion real quick. That's why it's called the American dream and not the Chinese dream or European dream. Call me names, threaten me, I don't give a fuck, you know I'm right. This was posted on April 4th of this year. Yeah, whatever, crack you're smoking, my guy, unsmoke that shit, put it down. This is like S-tier delusional. I was offered a job in the USA in 2015, had great benefits and pay. My answer, hell no. Oh my God. For the people who would still want to visit the United States, why would that be? And for the people who don't want to visit the United States, aside from the glaringly obvious, why else would you not want to visit the United States? Let me know in the comments down below. This could be very eye-opening for people who live in the United States or are from the United States like myself. So we could be like, oh dang, I didn't even think of that. There are a lot of other reasons that people probably aren't clocking. A lot of them have to do with the recent decisions that have been made. I will say that. But there's a response to this comment, actually. Great American benefits like 10 days vacation and 5 sick days. That's probably why they turned down the job offer. It's crazy because there has been this clip that has gone extra viral of this woman who applied to a job in the United States, and the CEO basically said to negate or completely eliminate work-life balance. Like, work-life balance was almost considered an atrocity because if you were not willing to dedicate 80 plus hours of your time, then you're not worth working at the company and you're basically considered useless. I'll play that clip.
Oh my God, I'm applying to jobs right now because I got laid off. And one of the applications is requiring that you watch this video from the CEO and that you give them your feedback and just like your thoughts. Please watch this. This is so bad.
To build something truly amazing. And we need individuals who are jacked about the opportunity to become something greater than they even thought possible, to join our team. We will be accountable to you and you will be accountable to us. We will help you achieve your dreams and your goals, and you are going to work like hell to help us achieve ours. I'll tell you that our employees work between 40 and 45 hours a week here, and they work on themselves between 5 and 15 hours above and beyond that because they want to become great. If you're used to just punching in and punching out and not having to worry about work or trying to live the whole work-life balance thing, I can guarantee you, you will not like it here. Please stop applying and find something more cushy. We are truly trying to do something great, and we believe that in order to do that, you actually have to do the opposite of balance. You have to be all in. You have to be obsessed with leveling up, with achieving amazing results, and by continuing to improve yourself. If this sounds like you, continue the application.
I have no words.
The next comment says, the reason why they call it the American dream is because you have to be asleep to believe it. If the last few months has shown anything, opportunity, freedom, justice, and kindness in the USA is in short supply. I didn't even realize how short it was until the events that unfolded this year. And then it's like we're huffing our own gas so much that we think the world thinks of us the way we think of ourselves, for the people who are delusional. And that's not the case, man. People have definitely kept America at arm's length, maybe even farther than that, based on this year's shenanigans. Our next comment had a mouthful. Yeah, like those scientists and academics that now consider leaving the US for Canada or EU countries because they feel threatened by this regime. People will now think twice about even considering traveling to the United States as a tourist, let alone for any opportunities. No one sane wants to risk seeing the El Salvador prison from the inside, or their own for-profit detention centers in which they would be held indefinitely. And that's true. I think it's actually more crazy that the Supreme Court has already demanded that the White House bring back the people it's accidentally deported, and the White House is like, no. And I'm like, whoa, you can just do that? That's crazy, because I know if any of us regular folk did that, we would be fried. But again, we have another post, and we got to get to it. We can just start selling beef to India. If you listen to that statement, it sounds crazy because it low-key is. The post itself, oh my gosh. China has halted US beef imports and has struck a deal with Australia instead. Billions wiped out of the US cattle ranchers' pockets. Is this making America great? Question mark. Underneath that post, it actually says, what other countries have over 1 billion people? We can just start selling beef to India. There is a response to this comment. It says, this is either satire or you're the dumbest motherfucker to ever breathe air. I don't think this is satire. You'd be surprised. You would be surprised. The bar of expectations for people's intelligence, at least coming from the United States, in hell. So naturally, the comments had a lot to say. And this first comment says, maybe they could export pork to Islamic countries as well? Think big. Hey man, oh man, that would start a global, that'd be World War 5, 6, 7. That's a direct insult. That's like a grand scale insult. Sending Muslim countries pork is diabolical, dude. This next comment though says, yes, try to export beef to India. I want to see this trade deal negotiation in real time. I would love to be an active viewer of a situation like that. It would be funny as hell. You're crazy. But this next comment, this next comment says, holy cow, I knew Americans were dumb, but this is next level. I'm telling you, there's tiers to this shit. I need to bust out the tier list of dumbest things ever said ever. This next post is interesting. As it says in the caption, probably paid for by American taxpayers. Okay, So this post is interesting. I'm not sure what platform this came from, but it's on the topic of tariffs. France's new high-speed trains were just revealed and they look incredible. Now, if we look at the pictures and stuff here, we're looking at, you know, this very nice, very sleek, put together transportation system. And oh my goodness, in America, it would cost an arm, leg, and a goat sacrifice. Underneath this post, it actually says, probably paid for by American taxpayers through overcharging tariffs to Americans. Have I told you I have one brain cell on life support and reading that almost took it out? But let me not say what I'm thinking about saying. Let me let the comments speak for themselves. Their tax money doesn't even go towards their own infrastructure, for fuck's sake. That's wild. You're right. Our infrastructure is very cooked. If you've traveled and seen most of the United States, it's interesting. It'll look very different depending on where you go, and it's pretty bad. The brainwashing starts at school, in the classroom, and their TV shows, movies, and music. And then you have their news channels. I've never seen so many flags as when I visited the United States. I actually didn't even clock how weird it was to have that many flags until I decided to travel outside the United States and explore other countries. And one of the main things I noticed is you didn't see their flag all over the place. So just some food for thought. I guess it is a little weird that we have as many flags as we do all over the place in the United States. How would France be able to charge Americans tariffs? Edit. I appreciate the sincere and detailed answers, guys, but I must admit I was being rhetorical. I know that most answers boil down to idiocy, misinformation, or a combination of the two. Oh man. Well, we have a lot more to cover because the dumb posts just keep on rolling through. So let's go ahead and cover some more of them. How do we get charged a tariff surcharge? All right. There's context behind this. Let's read the post. It says, got a quote for a purchase today, and it had a $77 tariff surcharge. I'm 100% Trump, but how do we get charged a tariff surcharge for purchasing a foreign-made item? Someone with more knowledge explain this to me, please. Edited. If you just start bashing my president, I will remove you from my friends list. I hate it here. The comments. Let's get to the comments. Got to be a rude awakening, that one. Turns out the rich assholes don't really care about you after all. You know, it's taking people in the United States quite a long time to put two and two together. Specifically, the people in the United States that voted for Trump. They're coping. They're making every excuse under the book. And with supporters like those, I mean, you can get away with anything. Damn near, right? Next comment says, if only there was someone somewhere that had warned them this was a stupid idea that they would pay for. Or maybe some historic precedent. I'm just saying. They're not wrong. Someone's upset his new MAGA cap is gonna be 104% more expensive. Yeah, people are very upset. I'm like, dude, you know most of our stuff is made in China and all over the rest of the world and whatnot. This is gonna impact the consumer. And that's what a lot of people have been saying, but it's not computing for the people who voted for Trump. Okay. And not all of them, but most of them. It's interesting. But we have another post. Let's go ahead and get into that. Why was we getting beef from China? Oh my God. It's a thread. And the first comment in the thread is breaking news. China has stopped importing American beef. Australia filling the gap. The United States' $2.5 billion beef trade to China has come to a halt. And then underneath that, it says, why was we getting beef from China in the first place? But if you read the post, it says China has stopped importing, which means they stopped receiving beef from the United States. They just don't know what import and export means, do they? Import means things coming into your country. Export are things going out of your country. You're sending them off. You're exporting to other places. That's some stuff you learn in like second grade, bro. Come on, man. But apparently not, because our education system is packed up. Our next comment actually says, they are so painfully stupid it hurts me to read some of it. Imagine living in the United States and seeing this regularly on vetted news agencies where they have people speak to everybody through panels. It's scary. It's scary. Let's move on to the next comment. 20% of Americans are illiterate. 50% read at a 6th grade level or lower. This is nominal. Maybe that explains a lot more of the internet interactions we've been seeing as of recent, probably actually for a long time. You know, us defunding the Department of Education was not a smart move. But moving on, because there are more posts, unfortunately, let's go ahead and look at some more posts. The caption of this next one says, New York City has better Asian food than Asia does. And if you just listen to that, you'll be like, what in the hell are you talking about? But there's context, and the rest of the post actually says New York City has better Asian food than Asia does. Best Chinese food in the world is Flushing, not Shenzhen. Well, of course, the comments had a lot to say, and the first comment says, hanging out on the internet has made me realize just how fucking annoying Americans are, and especially New Yorkers. Oh yeah. But wait, there's more. The comments obviously were pretty heated. This next comment says, meanwhile, I would honestly expect to get a nicer burger in Japan or Korea than in America. Actually, the flavors are amazing out here. At first, I wasn't really rocking with how they did their meat out here in Korea, but it grew on me, and it's pretty good. Not gonna lie, it's pretty good. Pretty good. I have not been to Japan yet, which is right next door, so I'll have to check that out. Clearly, he knows a place that puts American cheese and powdered sugar on their scallion pancakes. Oh my God. Yo, why? Why'd you roast us like that? Relax, okay, relax. We don't even have good health care. Let alone any. Affordable health care doesn't exist over here, so we gotta make do with what we got, man. Might as well make it taste good while we slowly ruin our health. Our next post, let's get into that. And the caption says, France wishes they had Wisconsin cheese. Oh my Lord. Oh my God. I feel like wasn't a well thought out post, because here's the post. American food is the most toxic and unhealthy. That's the title of an article that was linked in a Reddit thread. Underneath that, in the comment section, of course, it says, did you see that tweet where someone tried to claim that Americans having to eat their own cheese was punishment enough? And underneath that, it says, France wishes they had Wisconsin cheese. And underneath that, it says, what the fuck? Are you trying to get on r/shit Americans say? Wisconsin cheese will never, ever compare to cheese from France, man. First of all, the ingredients and the health standards are entirely different, night and day, right? What you're able to do in France versus what you're able to do in the United States are night and day. So the taste is going to be entirely different. Now, are there some decent cheeses in Wisconsin? Absolutely, but it doesn't compare to France. It just doesn't. But of course, the comments had a lot to say. So let's go ahead and move on to this first comment, which says, and yes, they succeeded in getting on this sub. Ain't that the damn truth? Okay, so this next comment is kind of crazy. It says, I love it watching US TV ads when they say made with natural real cheese. What the actual fuck? Because you know that's a damn lie. Made with plastic and chemicals. Lots and lots of cheap chemicals to make that cheese affordable. We love to see it. So let's go ahead and look at this next comment from one of you guys that says, every cheese producing country in Europe is glad they don't have Wisconsin cheese. We can already buy mediocre mass produced cheddar from some supermarkets if we want mediocre mass produced cheddar. And the funny thing is that mediocre cheese in Europe would, oh my gosh, absolutely obliterate most of the cheeses that we have in the United States. Maybe not all, but definitely most. And that's just the standard plain generic cheese in Europe. But we have more posts, so let's get into the next one. Keep that commie Frenchness away from the US. I don't understand what the dealio has been with the whole communist talk in the United States for a long time. Like the obsession with communists. I understand there's people that disagree with it, totally fine, but like it gets brought up in every political argument amongst Americans. It's insane. So the post itself says, anything but the indoctrination that is the metric system, yes. Keep that commie Frenchness away from the US. The comment underneath that though says, this is a very weird thing to be upset about. And I agree. What the heck? Why are you mad? It's just a measuring system. I don't understand what the dealio is. If you don't understand that, just say that. It's okay to not understand. You can learn, just like the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? You can learn. And boom, all of a sudden the metric system won't be so complicated, because it really is not a complicated concept to get hold of. Of course, you know, the United States, we use the imperial system and whatnot, and I obviously always leaned in that direction. But after living overseas for 4 or 5 years, the metric system makes way more sense, way more sense. But the comments had a lot to say. So this first comment actually says, if it wasn't for the commie French, they'd still be speaking proper English and have a king. Damn. Yikes. Yikes. But it don't stop there. There's more. The metric system is commie indoctrination. Do they roll dice with random words to make sentences? Yes, absolutely. I will say there is a uptick in a lot of people from the United States that yearn to learn about the world outside of the United States, which is actually very refreshing. People are finally seeing past the illusion of perfection in the United States and are trying to experience something close to what they've expected for a long time by traveling. So for the people who can travel, because of course that's also a privilege and stuff, at the end of the day, they're able to awaken themselves from the Naruto reference incoming infinite Tsukiyomi that we've been placed under in the United States. But that genjutsu doesn't work on me. However, this next comment does say, why is it anything they don't understand is a commie conspiracy? For fuck's sake, grow up. We can't keep using that same lame ass excuse every time we don't understand something. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's just commie talk. Honestly, people who say commie are typically boomers, like actual boomers, because I don't know a singular young person that uses that type of terminology. Maybe they do, but they probably learned it from their boomer relatives. But typically the vast majority of people who use this are American boomers. Wild. But we have another post. We got to get into that, which says, use miles first, you communist. Now, the post this caption is referencing is 6 billion kilometers. And the replies underneath the post, it says, use miles first, you communists. Underneath that, it says, not everyone is an Ameritard. I've never heard that before. Damn. That's crazy. The comment section obviously went crazy. And the first comment says, they don't know what communism and socialism are. Absolute bellings. Not sure if I said that right. Yeah, I'm starting to realize the communism and socialism thing in America has not actually successfully crossed our brains in a way we can comprehend, because it's been used so willy-nilly, it just seems like an insult at this point. Anyways, next comment says, NASA must be communist by that definition because they don't use miles either. Listen, I hope aliens from outer space never touch down on Earth, man. Oh my gosh. I would feel so bad for them. So bad for them. Especially if the United States gets involved, let alone anybody on the planet. It'd just be raps, man. But NASA, oh man, for as much as a lot of Americans are obsessed with, you know, exploring the stars, the galaxies, whatever, what measuring system do you think they use? I mean, right? Crazy. Next comment says, communist is a bizarre insult from someone who voted for a president attempting to speed run to the Soviet Union model. Y'all are eating us alive right now. What is happening? Chill out, okay? Relax. Why does the truth hurt so bad? So the caption of this next post is interesting, as it says, does anyone know where Portugal is actually located? And of course, there is a post and it says, what did I just watch on Portuguese national TV? The comment underneath this says, does anyone know where Portugal is actually located? If President sees this video, he's going to tax them like nobody has ever taxed before. At least they asked where Portugal is located. I'll give them that. You can't just tax random ass countries, you know? You can't. That's not how it works. Tariffs. Yeah, go crazy. But anyways, the comments. Let's get to the comments. Does anyone know where the US's shared brain cell is actually located? Have you seen the movie Treasure Planet? I believe that was the ultimate quest. Finding America's centrally located brain cell. It's being guarded very heavily, okay, wherever it is. I would assume but probably not. God, I've been trying to find mine for years. All right, next comment says, if you can't point your own country on the map, then you also can't definitely point Portugal, which is true, very true. So again, these comments going hard in the paint. Now, this last comment as it pertains to this post says, map of the world seems to be illegal in the United States, yet these guys will put a globe in their offices just to have zero idea where America even is. It's the thought that counts. It's there. Eventually, when we are bored enough, we will look into where our own country is located, and maybe that might work in our favor. Who knows? But that is crazy. I have thought that to myself for a while. I'm like, okay, how many people are able to locate not only their country, but let's say 3 of the 7 continents on the globe? And the funny thing is, they're labeled. Some globes aren't overtly labeled, like, the whole whatever, but it should be pretty obvious to pick them out, you would think. Our next post is interesting, as the caption says, Europe, no ice cubes. You might be wondering what the fuck this caption was referring to, and I will show you. In someone's notes app, they put the things that Europe and America have as far as advantages and disadvantages, and we'll start with the top here. It says, Europe, everything smells like cigarettes. Racism is worse than in America. Hold on, what? Racism is worse than in America, in Europe? I mean, it might be bad, but I don't think it's worse. Anyways, no ice cubes, no AC, water isn't free, public bathrooms aren't free, high taxes, people are rude. America, none of that. Take your choice. Let's look at the comments real quick before I lose my fucking mind, bro. Our first comment says, people are rude. Ever notice that it's only Americans who complain that everyone in Europe is rude? Wonder what the common factor there is. So again, a lot of Americans that travel are very oblivious to how they behave in public, so it is very concerning. And then they divulge these stereotypes. They create these stereotypes based on things that they themselves have inflicted on their environment. People are responding to how they behave, and so they create these stereotypes based on things that they probably didn't clock they did to get that kind of reaction out of people. Like, for instance, if people don't appreciate small talk and you engage in small talk and you get rude responses, then that's going to create the illusion that all European people are rude, when actually you didn't do any research into how that culture operates, right? People don't have to conform to your culture. You just have to understand others so you can navigate more smoothly. But people don't think like that. It's unfortunate. But this next comment says, America, no healthcare, college isn't free, HOAs. Don't even get me started on HOAs, bro. Don't even get me started on HOAs are the bane of my existence. I hate HOAs. I hate them. Let me give you a really quick story time, just while we're venting on the topic of HOAs. Right before Christmas, I get hit with this call from the HOA related to the property that I own. And they're like, hey, we're redoing the roofs in your area under our organization, and we need you to pay $3,000 by next week. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what if I don't pay it next week? Like, what if I don't pay it at all? They're like, oh, well, we can like foreclose your house, which makes zero sense, mind you, because I'm making all of my house payments on time. Like, I have a mortgage open, I've been paying my mortgage, and I'm like, okay, that's crazy. You can take my house because I'm not paying HOA fees, but if I'm paying the mortgage, the thing that's required to keep my house, right? You can still take my house away if I don't pay HOA fees. Random HOA bills too. I fucking hate that. Anyways, politics worse than Europe, or school shootings every month, cops killing people every day, measles, no healthy food, no public transportation. People are fat, and you are being very generous. Morbidly obese is more accurate. But fat's not wrong. Europe, none of that. The clapback is crazy. That clapback was wild. There's truth to this, a lot of truth to this. I just wish we had better healthcare, man. If there was one thing off that list we could at least secure, like just very good healthcare would be amazing, right? I want to live for as long as I can. And the state of affairs as it pertains to healthcare in the USA it's disturbing to say the least. But this last comment we'll review for this post says, people are rude. It's funny because everywhere I've been in Europe, people treat others as they are treated. So if you say Europeans are rude, that says more about yourself than Europeans, in my opinion. I didn't even consider that. I guess I did, because that's basically what I just said, right? I mean, you formulate these opinions based on the responses you get, but you get the responses you get based on how you navigate with the people in whatever space you enter, right? And if you don't do research on how people respond to certain things, then you can come off as rude and they will respond accordingly. But we have one final post we're going to be looking at, which actually says, every time I'm in the UK, I feel this gaping hole in the culture made by the absolute absence of Mexicans. Mexico is on the other side of the fucking planet. What? Of course it'd be an absence of Mexicans. Let's get to the comments. I want to see what you guys had to say. Let me know in the comments down below what you have to say about this ridiculousness. This doesn't make any sense. I bet you this has to do with food. Where's the Mexican food? I bet you that's what it is. This one is actually pretty funny if it was meant to be. Yikes. Funny thing is, I do not think it was intended to, but it is funny. I will agree with that. It is funny. This next comment says, I always find it weird that they're obsessed with the Mexican food here. Like, we have absolutely no cultural ties to Mexico. It's the other side of the world, and there is very little cross-culture transfer. You might as well complain about why you can't get good Uruguayan food in the UK. It's just not really that big of a consideration. I mean, yeah, exactly. It's on the other side of the planet. Like, there's no good Russian food here. Where are you and where is Russia? Okay, yeah. The closer you are to Russia, the better the Russian food would be, I would assume, right? And the farther away you are from Russia, unless the person's from Russia themselves, the food's probably not going to be as authentic. Just using that as an example. So just apply that logic to what we just read, and oh my God, the math starts mathing a little bit, right? Now, this last comment we're going to review says, only gaping hole exists between your ears, mate. Oh my gosh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was it. Let me know how you guys felt about all of that, and let me know in the comments down below what the dumbest thing one of us has said to y'all, because I know we've said some crazy things before in the past, and I have absolutely been a part of that myself.